What's up, YouTube? I got another review for you. This time I'm talking a knife and not boots. This particular man, this is filthy. That's what happens when it's a greenhouse, I guess. The chickens come in here to wallow in the dirt floor of the greenhouse when it's wet out there, and so it kicks up a lot of dirt. But you didn't come for that. You came to check out this knife. I want to show you guys the Joker knives Nessmuk in the antler. They call it a deer horn, but either they mean an animal that's not a deer or antlers. So let's go down to the table to talk about this super excellent knife that I absolutely adore. Check it out. All right, here we are with the Joker Nessmuk. The lighting's kind of wonky, but I'll start out here with the Sheath. I'm a solid fan of this Sheath. I like it. Don't have any qualm. Well, I mean, I have a qualm here, but the quality of the stitching and the leather is pretty good. I've been carrying this for a couple of months. I enjoy that I'm able to choose between that close belt loop right here or the dangler situation. I've enjoyed the dangler situation because it makes it easy to, like, with the snap, to just take on and off as I see fit. You know, I don't have to undo any belts or loop any belts through the hole here. I can just clip it, put it on, unclip it, take it off, all that fun stuff. And then they set this up with this ring situation here, so you can actually just remove the whole thing if that's your jam, and then not even have to worry about the dangler anymore, which is pretty sweet. That does leave that possible potential weak point in there, but you could figure out some other way to do that if you're a carabiner person, or I don't know. Those are always just things to consider. This could wear out, but if you're balling around that hard with your knife and you're one of those folks, you may be doing your own sheath or have your own kind of a system set up, and it's not even that big of a deal to you. The one qualm, as I mentioned, that I do have with this sheath situation is, you might be able to kind of see it in there, this knife does not fully and easily fit in there. It's a little bit wide. The width of the blade is a bit wide to get in there super smoothly, and so it does in fact actually. That one is pretty good because I got into one of the grooves that I ended up cutting. But if you're not getting it just right each time, it tends to like wiggle and dip and slice in there because it's just not quite the right size. Now, I don't know if that's just the sheath I got, if that's a consistent problem you'll find with the Joker Nessmuk. It is one of those things where I get the vibe they kind of just make one style of, just looking on their website, it's like, this is the sheath they make, and this is the sheath they put all of their knives in, because all of their knives are kind of roughly the same size. You know what I mean? Like when you check out the technical specs on the website, they're all kind of within the same range for most of their knives of this range, and so it could be that they just make one sheath for everything, and it's just a little bit less appropriate for the next Nessmuk because of the shape of the blade and everything else. So that's a thing that I find is a little frustrating. And I have noticed, like, over time it does slightly affect the edge a little bit, and that could just be my perception. I mean, because the steel's pretty good, and the temper is pretty good. And speaking of the steel, all of their stuff is in that 12C28N stainless steel. I've been overall pretty happy with it. When I talk about, like, I think it might be affecting the edge, we're talking like that minute little anal retention shift in the edge that some people have. If you're like really anal about your edges, I think for the actual user, like when I'm out actually using this, I don't actually think I notice it. I think I just tell myself I notice it. So there's that. But now to the actual knife itself, and why I think it's so particularly amazing is One, if you've watched any of my reviews before, I have trouble with knives because of the handle, because my hand is weirdly shaped. I wear large size gloves because my fingers are kind of short, but I wear extra large in the width. So it's like I have this sort of like ham hand, meat hand sort of thing going on. And so when it comes to actual like knife handle comfort, I do struggle to find knives that properly fill my hand and are the right length and give me the kind of comfort I'm seeking in a handle. And this one does it across the board. Like it's thick. It's a thick handle, and for a lot of folks, that kind of thickness, like here it is in comparison to my SE3HM, and a lot of people find this 3HM handle, broomstick handle style, kind of filling and covers a lot, but like it's just got more girth to it. It's got more oomph on it. And this is a super comfortable handle too. Like this one, it fills quite nicely, but this one fills it just that little extra more just nicely. And this little recurve on the back here gives you that extra hook kind of for that pull. And it does, like if you're trying to do a chest lever grip, it's not quite as comfortable in say a chest lever situation like this one is, but it's not enough to be prohibitive. It's one of those like I'm splitting hairs when I talk about the difference, you know what I mean, in like that chest lever situation here. But so this is a knife that is for you ham-fisted folks. Like this is a big, thick handle. It's nice and long. You can see like from the back side, it seems to kind of cover up. But the fact is like you cover it up, flip it over, and in that grip, I got a whole extra finger's worth over here. And like on the SE3HM, it's about the same deal. It's just the right amount of handle for me. And when it comes to the blade shape design, it's a little tricky because most of Joker's stuff are kind of this 4-inch range. And when you're looking at Nessmuks from other makers, they tend to keep them at a 5-inch. You know, they're that little extra bit. And there are times when I'm using this knife where I think, damn, I wish I had 1 more inch. That's what she said. But the reality is that having a 4-inch blade in this Nessmuk style makes it really broadly applicable. Like, yes, a little bit more would be nice sometimes, but because it's shorter and a bit lighter than if it had more blade length, it's more carryable. I have more control for detailed action, for staying close, and having more control over the blade, and I really like that. And it makes it almost into this, I wouldn't call it an EDC size by any stretch, but like when I'm walking around the garden or doing my spending a day homesteading, you know, urban homesteading type of deal, having this on my hip is like, man, this covers almost every need, and it excels extremely well in the woods. Like when I'm carving and notching and feather sticking, it does that extremely well. When I'm butchering chickens, this excels extremely well when I'm butchering chickens and turning animals into food. And then when I'm turning plants into food, like the thing that blows my mind about this is just how well it excels in every range, in every possible focus, right? Whether it be woodcraft, cooking, general utility work, it's an astoundingly useful blade. That 90-degree spine is not super sharp, but sharp enough. Again, it's useful to have. I've done scraping. I've done all kinds of stuff. And man, I just can't recommend this knife enough. It's fantastic. Now, this particular one, after all was said and done with shipping and stuff, was around $150, which is really up there compared to, and taxes and things. Most of Joker's knives, it's because of the antler here. They have versions of this knife in Scandi and this flat grind with wood scales that are less than $100. I wanted to have that. I just think it's a cool look. I love their sturdiness and durability when it comes to antler scales. And so that's what I put in for, and I paid extra for that. But you can have this knife with wood scales for under $100. They do not, it appears, make this knife with micarta handle scales like they do a lot of their other blades. But that being said, I think you can't really go wrong, especially if you're a big-handed person. Like big hands, these are the knives to go. If you have ham hands, Jokers, I think, or at least this one, haven't owned any others, but having heard other reviews on other Joker knives, it sounds like they have thick handles and they are excellent for large ham-fisted motherfuckers like me and possibly you. So there you go. Hope that's useful to you. Hope you can find that, help you make a decision on a particular knife. And maybe you find yourself being a Nessmuk guy. I think I'm a Nessmuk guy. Shout out to David C. Anderson. I get it. I definitely get it.